Hi, welcome back to Spirit Lounge. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a great day, staying in as it is. Today we're going to talk about what is heaven. It's an interesting subject and hopefully it'll be a pretty short video. I'll explain what's going to follow at the end of this. But what is heaven? Well, there are many descriptions of what heaven is through religions, through followings, through preachings, through our own perceptions, through things we're taught by family and friends or society in general, or actually some people believe there's nothing. So we come into life accidentally from somewhere, we live this existence of the material and the mind, and then we just disappear into nothing. Kind of pointless, don't you think? So I'm not really sure that's the case. In fact, I know that's not the case, but we can all believe what we wish, or feel what we wish, and know what we wish. So what is heaven? Well, there's many interpretations of that, depending on who you talk to and what we follow, what religions we may follow, what indoctrination or doctrines we may follow, or dogmas we may follow, or things we may have absorbed, or information we may absorb from partners, friends, family, parents, grandparents. It could be anything. We talked about near-death experiences in a video not so long ago, a few weeks back I think, where I discussed that near-death experiences will commonly be reflective of what that person subconsciously holds within. Not consciously externally, but inside. What is the subconscious belief that they have secretly or openly will normally reflect in their experience in a near-death what they experience in a near-death experience. And what is heaven is actually the same thing. Now, I want to answer this "what is heaven" question by asking everyone who's listening to them, watching this video, to think about universal life and not just human life. Because to understand what is heaven and understand my video on near-death experience, it's important to perceive our being beyond the physical and the human species, because we are not the human species and we are not the physical body. What is heaven? It's whatever you think it is. Like near-death experiences will be a reflection of our internal belief systems ultimately, but in the end will always be taken, and the second curtain or veil, the false illusion upon an illusion. Life is an illusion. What we perceive in near-death experiences is an illusion, and then beyond that is the reality, which will all be going to in the end. The veils are always lifted. Ultimately, how long they last is entirely up to us. It's our own choice. It's our own free will of what we allow ourselves or not allow ourselves to become or expand into or to know. Heaven will be whatever we think it is. So when we die, some people will say that we go into heaven and it looks like the earth. It's just more vibrant in colour. It's surrounded by buildings of the same kind, or elaborate palaces and ascended halls, where there's other human forms up there, our grandparents. They're all there waiting for us, and we live our lives like we lived here. Others will have a different perception depending on what their faiths and religions are telling them. Some people will think it's something completely different. Some people will say it's full of gods and it has realms of heaven and hell. Some people will say that it's golden light and Source is waiting there as a being at pearly gates. It can be all manner of things: Buddhists, Christians, Judaic, Islamic, Hindu. All the faiths will have different interpretations, and each of us will have different interpretations of what we think and feel and have been told and indoctrinated what heaven is. Heaven is just a name. It's the name for where we go, or our spirit returns to. Remember, it doesn't go anywhere, it returns back to where it came. It's a fractal of ourselves that exists in this vessel that I'm occupying and that you are occupying watching this video. It returns back to source. We never actually leave. Our core is always within grace. It's fractals of our perception and consciousness which can be perceived as unique in their own right, but they're all connected to the core, which is its ultimate uniqueness. And it experiences life forms here and anywhere else, maybe in concurrent parallel lifetimes. And so we're actually returning back to what we call heaven. Heaven is just returning back to source, returning back to our spirit energy form. And what that looks like, what that feels like, what we will observe there in this afterlife that we call heaven, is whatever you want it to be. Whatever you perceive heaven to be, it will be that. Now, I want to expand this out, and I'd like everyone to reflect on what I'm about to say, because it's important to support what I've just said. We're not the only species in this universe. We may not be the only species in this solar system flying around, or have been in the past at least. We are certainly not the only intelligent, as we call intelligent life in this universe. There are billions of intelligent life forms potentially in this ever-expanding, infinite, never-ending, expanding universe. Hundreds of millions, if not billions, of intelligent, what we call intelligent, sentient life. And they don't look like us. They probably look something completely different. Living on planets or domains which are completely different. Colours which are completely different. Cultures which are completely different. Languages which are completely different. Worshipping deities or gods which are completely different. And their perception of the afterlife and heaven, as we call it, is going to be different to ours. It's going to be reflecting what that particular life form believes and thinks, what that particular life form has been taught and indoctrinated into, what that particular life form feels apparently in their heart it should be. And it's going to be completely different to what we think it is, because we're human, we're in human form. They will be in different form, so they're going to think heaven is full of beings like them. Earth places and planets like theirs. Hills and environments like theirs. Colours of vibrancy and differentiation and variation like theirs. Languages, food, colour, relatives, loved ones, family, pets. Weird and wonderful pets. They're going to think that heaven is just like that for them. And so will all the other hundreds and millions of life forms out there in this universe are going to have the same belief. As above, so below. And that has many, many meanings to it. Not just, and in this one it's appropriate, but it says appropriate in many others. So reflect on this when we try to define through our dogma what we think heaven is. It's whatever we believe it to be, that is what we'll experience. And whatever the life forms out there think it is, that's what they'll experience when they first leave. And in their near-death experiences, because they'll all have the same experiences as we do, the same duality exists across this entire universe. I promise you that. Can't prove it. I can only say it. But this is the truth. What's the reality of heaven, or the afterlife, or the true being of where we truly are? It's actually infinite possibility of everything in a space of nothing. It's an infinite space of everything, or infinite possibility of everything in a space of nothing. In other words, it's an emptiness of all that is. It's an emptiness of everything that we are. We are all of it, all at the same time. We just feel and express, and it's energetic. It's thought and intention and emotion. It's love cascading everywhere in all things. We're part of everything. It's an emptiness. There is no imagery there. The imagery that exists is what we create for ourselves. Whatever we're attached to, whatever we're linked to, whatever we long for, whatever we still desire and need, through the physical incarnations that we have, we will reflect in our perception and our initial experience of what we see in the afterlife. And that is the same rule applies, most commonly I've seen, in near-death experiences. It's actually emptiness. It's actually thought. It's actually intention. It's just pure bliss presence. We are not physical beings, remember. We are energetic sparks of consciousness, perception and awareness in an infinite space of everything and anything, but in a blankness of nothing. Because we're everywhere. It's difficult to think about because it's not something we can process in mind. It's something we connect to here. It's an expansion from within that we connect to. Just contemplate that, because sticking to dogmas is like saying our view of the afterlife is right and all the other billions or hundreds of millions of intelligent sentient life in this universe is wrong. The truth is we're all right, because it will be whatever we want. But behind that another illusionary veil is the reality that is actually infinite possibility of everything, all that is, all that we are, in a blanket of nothing. Because it's whatever we want it to be. And the more we detach in lives, as we traverse them, and detach from the longing and detach from the attachments that we have, the closer that we'll understand what truly exists in the infinite space. Because it truly is none of those things, actually. It doesn't look like my home, it doesn't look like me. Attachment to forms and physical things will disappear because we manifest those again in the realm of the infinite possibility that where we belong. So I would contemplate and reflect on that. Also, I want to leave you with another thing before we close up, because I'm trying to make this video, I'm looking at the clock a lot there. In this time that we have, where we're going to be challenged a lot, and I mentioned it on my other video about not losing free will through fear. Reflect on this. Whilst previously, before the current environment that we're living in, we all express such virtuous self-righteousness. We applaud ourselves with our connection, apparent connection with the divine, and our feeling in our hearts of things. We say we're so connected, we're so spiritual, we're so virtuous, self-righteous, judging. We understand the divine infinite of everything. But we're all living in absolute fear. We fear to live as we fear to die. I question all of that. Because if we are truly moving towards this space that we say we all are in, then our fear of life wouldn't exist. The force of fear within our lives would not exist. And the fear of death would also not exist. Yes, we all want to live because we're in physical lives. We have family and friends and children and beautiful things that we want to experience for longer and longer and longer and longer, as much as we can. So nobody wants an early exit from life, physical life, because they're beautiful things to experience, beautiful things to create. But we shouldn't be fearing an end to that when it ultimately happens for all of us. And we also should not be fearing to live. We shouldn't be allowing fear to drive our experience, because all of those things, fear, run in direct contradiction to the things that we say we feel, and we say we're connected with the divine and that we have strength from the divine and internal space. Well, do we really? Have we each individually truly are what we say we are? Because current times and fear itself, we should reflect on what we truly have become, not what we think we've become. It's important because self-reflection is never ending. It's eternal, it's in physical and non-physical form, it's forever. We're never going to be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist in form. Self-reflection is eternal. Question ourselves and what we think we are, and remove the ego of what our ego tells us we are. It's important to remove these things. Because at the end of the day, it will direct and reflect on what we think our heaven is. Remember, everything is thought and intention and energy. It's the governance of all things. Thought, intention, energy. Karma dictates timelines. It's the intention of it's the fundamental force of everything. Intention, energy, and thought. We create everything through intention and thought in this life and what we think is heaven. Because we create it through thought and intention, which transmutes energy from the infinite space of all that is, where everything emanates into whatever we think and desire and are attached to. So have some self-reflection. Temper fear at all times. Because if we do not, this physical experience that we have, this human experience, is going to be taken away from us from the physical sense. Governance over your body, over your mind, over your environment. We'll sign it all away if we are subject to fear. And if we're pursuing the spiritual path, which many of you are, then I suggest we reflect on what we're truly becoming in that space. Okay, I want to keep this short and cut it off now. So thanks very much for listening. Please like, subscribe and share. If you're interested by the book, which is in the corner, one of these corners, if you're interested, I'm going to be lowering the price on that because it's not actually something I do for money. I did it because I needed to. It's not my livelihood, so I'm going to be reducing the price on that anyway. I was intending to. So have a great day. Look out for my next video called The Digital Human. It's going to take a long while for me to make that, but it's going to be very interesting, I hope, to many. It's coming next, so I'll leave you with that. Have a great day. Thanks for listening again, and love to you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.